My toxic boss fired me to steal my $5 million project and take all the credit for himself. He thought he had outsmarted a mere employee, but he forgot one crucial detail. I wrote the core software architecture from scratch. I didn't scream, cry, or beg for my job. I just packed my desk, triggered a hidden legal loophole, and watched his entire career collapse on a live investor call. I worked as a senior software architect for a mid-sized corporate logistics firm. For 2 grueling years, I worked 60-hour weeks building a revolutionary automated routing system. This software was guaranteed to secure a massive $5 million contract with our biggest international client. My boss, Richard, was a nepotism hire who spent his days golfing and taking 2-hour lunches. He desperately wanted the massive promotion and bonus tied to this specific contract. The Friday afternoon before the final presentation, Richard called me into his glass office. He handed me a termination letter, coldly claiming, quote, budget cuts. He legally forced me to hand over my company laptop, explicitly stating he would be taking over the final pitch. He even had the audacity to CC the entire department in an email, claiming he had stepped in to fix the project I was allegedly struggling with. He was going to present my 2 years of blood, sweat, and tears as his own genius to the board of directors. Richard was incredibly arrogant, but he was completely technologically illiterate. Because he never actually read my employment contract, he didn't know I had negotiated a right-to-delete clause for any personal developmental tools installed on company hardware. Before handing over my laptop, I legally wiped my personal API keys, the exact encrypted keys required to make the live simulation function. I also privately forwarded my original code timestamps to the client's CEO, whom I had built a great working relationship with over the last year. On Monday morning, Richard stood in the boardroom in front of our executives and the client's entire leadership team. I was sitting in a coffee shop across the street, watching the live stream on the client's public investor portal. Richard confidently clicked run on the presentation. Instead of a brilliant 3D logistics map, the entire system crashed. A massive red error message flashed across the 80-inch screen reading: fatal error, authorization failed, intellectual property of my name. Richard started sweating through his expensive suit, frantically slamming the keyboard, while the room fell dead silent. The CEO of the client company stood up, pulled out the printed emails I had sent him proving Richard stole the work, and threw them on the table. He canceled the $5 million contract on the spot and walked out. By noon, Richard was escorted out of the building by security and fired for gross misconduct. The very next morning, the client's CEO called me directly, offered me double my old salary, and hired me as their new director of technology.